Good morning. It is 6:06 o'clock. This is day number 6 of my trip, and today I am ready to move on. I have just left my solitude paradise and I continue my trip. Today the panoramic view from my rooftop tent remains unchanged from yesterday, but before 11 AM I will cross the border into Norway and maintain the steady pace of this trip. I had to say goodbye to my cove, a place of solitude and peace that was mine for 2 days. I also needed to bid farewell to Lapland, a place I know I will return to someday. The weather is sunny and warm. The water in lakes is sweet, cold and incredibly refreshing. I continue along the remaining 70 kilometers to Natamo via road 971. But it's not an easy task. I spent only 2 full days in Lapland and I'm still not satisfied with living, so I stop frequently to capture drone pictures. However, the magnet of adventure keeps drawing me in, and today I feel like an easy target. Something tells me that things are about to change. What sort of a place on earth is this? Close to Natamo, I stumble upon an abandoned homestead. I peek inside the wooden buildings with no idea when they were built, who lived here and for how long. I can only imagine the history of this place. Finally, around 10 AM, I reach Natamo. Just a quick lunch with a cinnamon pie that lady recommended in the shop. Coffee for morning. This place really feels remote. These are my last minutes of staying in Finland. Oh. There is even a Natamo pub. Drinks, coffee, beer, finger food, wings. Wow, alright. So I made the groceries. I took some diesel
Pretty good price though. And I go to welcome Norway.
Norway is not part of the European Union, so I expected a border check, but there was nothing of the sort, just a sign informing me that I was entering the land of the Vikings and a pole with cameras.
Alright, here I am in Norway. Now to Russia border.
Norway also greets me with stricter speed limits. Where Finns slow down in built-up areas, Norwegians can drive at maximum speed outside of them. 90 km per hour will be a rarity. This isn't a complaint, just an observation. I'm driving very slowly, usually gathering long queues of cars behind me on the E6 road towards Kirkenes and the border with Russia. This is going to be my first stop in exploring Norway. At the border I take my historic photos. I meet a guy from Australia who came here by bus from Kirkenes as a part of a large cruise ship tour from Bergen along the Norwegian coast. We had a great chat, I reckon. My goal today is Vardø and Hamningberg. A previous visit to Kov in Lapland stopped me from fulfilling this plan, so let's see how it goes today. I am returning the same way on the E6 road. In Føsbukta I pass the first waterfall, Skoltefossen, and I leave behind the road towards Natamo. I know the landscape in Norway will be different. I'm much closer to the coast now. The forests and vast wetlands disappear, giving way to completely different views.
My way to Vardø, road number E6, and basically Norway is not letting me down. This is Skikling from Finland, and Skikling is, you know, a chicken.
Driving on the E6 from Kirkenes, I reach the bay. The sun shines in a clear sky and the trees vanish, revealing more of the rocky coastline. I can't stop myself from finding some detours. I drive around the bay through Varangarbotn, and traveling along the opposite shore I reach a picturesque church in the town of Neseby. The wind starts blowing very strongly. I also stop a bit farther in Vadsø, where I notice the first contrasts. Young people in swimsuits, while right next to them on the beach families in jackets and me in a hat. I continue my journey along the bay, and guess what? I'm back on the E75 road, which ends in Vardø. I don't know yet what awaits me, but if you look closely at the drone photos, you will guess what's in store. Thick fog enveloped the coast. The sun was gone and it became very cold. Just past the town of Kiberg I turned right onto a rocky path leading to the bunkers to take a look into the abyss of the Barents Sea.
What a beautiful view. All right, I'm in.
The path then takes me back to the fishing village of Kiberg, and I have never seen anything quite like this before. After an unforgettable visit to Kiberg, I continue on my way. To enter Vardo, you drive through a deep, damp tunnel with a strong smell of concrete. It feels like you are descending into the darkest and deepest depths of the earth. I skip Hamningberg. There is a fog everywhere, mixed with cold, dripping moisture and the endless cries of birds, creating an atmosphere straight out of a Hitchcock movie. The only sign of human presence in this town is the cars parked outside the houses. Vardo is famous for its murals. I set out to find them, driving back and forth for about 2 hours. It's a bit like hunting for Pokemon, and here's what I managed to discover. Finally exhausted, I find a place to spend the night on the southern edge of the island, but I can't fall asleep.
I have just read that in this area they burned 91 people because of a witchcraft. Wow. Okay, so this is something I am not going to do. Good night. Good morning. It is 6:30 and today I slept more than 6 hours in a row. I would guess it was even 7. So I found a solution and I slept like this in my head because it's pretty cold in Vardo. So I put on my hat. So I had some sort of a darkness. Oh, what sort of a place on earth is this? Oh, I needed coffee so much. This place must be beautiful when the sun shines, but from some reason it wanted to show me its dark side. I am going to remember that for long.
I owe you an explanation. In the 17th century, around 140 brutal witch trials were held in Finnmark, which are often regarded as some of the worst persecutions during peacetime in Norway. A total of 91 people, nearly all women, were sentenced to death. On the western side of Vardø there is the Stilneset Memorial dedicated to those who were persecuted for witchcraft. Some of these trials were documented and are available online. This is undoubtedly a dark chapter in the history of this place and region. Today the plan is simple: leave Vardø, return along the bay via the E75 road to Varangerbotn, and then head north through Tana Bru towards the fjords near Guldholmen. Not far past Kiberg, I managed to find a rocky detour along the E75, so I gladly take advantage of it. I'm a bit tired of paved roads. I leave behind the fog-covered Vardø and Hamningberg, which I didn't get to see in the end. On one hand, I regret encountering such weather, but on the other, I'm glad I got to see the town in a completely different light. I will have to return here again. Maybe next time I will catch some sunny weather. The bay is reluctantly clearing from the fog. I stop for a piece of Finnish cake and the last of my morning coffee. After this short break, I continue towards Varangerbotn. In Varangerbotn, I refuel at a gas station. The price per liter of diesel is quite high here. I head further towards Tana Bru, this time via the E6 road. Tana Bru is a small town located by the wide expanses of the Tana River. To get to the other side of the river, you have to cross the newly built bridge. The landscape is similar to that in Inari. I have good memories with Lapland, and the weather is starting to improve. In the town center I do some grocery shopping. I need to prepare meals for the next few days. I move on, now straight along the Tana River towards Guldholmen. The drive along the Tana River's expanse is truly spectacular. The rather short road ends with an entrance to the bay with a dead end. This is my first time seeing Norwegian fjords in person. I make a short stop here, contemplating staying the night while preparing dinner.
I did not expect this.
In the end, I move to the other, sunnier side of the fjord. Here, with a beautiful view of the buildings in Guldholmen, I stay for the night.
Good morning, it is 5:14. Woke up and decided to move on towards Nordkapp. It is 8th day of my trip here, second in Norway. I'm not sure I will get to Nordkapp, it's pretty much kilometers to cover still, and I will probably find some detour. It's very sunny today, very nice weather, and today I slept like this, and this turned out to be pretty good solution for the night sun.
Today only 280 kilometers, not much, but there were so many things. First, a small portion of fjords, breakfast and coffee at Vestertana, then spectacular rocky mountains, then after Ifjord, next fjords, small detour for lunch, and then after Kunes, drive along river at some sort of sandy plateau. Then Borselv, drive along the bay, next town of Lakselv, visit trolls, and finally stop overnight in Rusenes. A week ago at this time I was almost to leave home, not fully aware of what I would see and what dilemmas I would have. And now I have a breakfast break in Vestertana on the way to Nordkapp. from Västertana to Ifjord is short but incredibly spectacular. It runs through nearly barren hills and valleys, revealing their rocky faces. Clouds play a big role in this show as well.
Very bad road, and I like very bad roads.
The route from Ifjord to Kunes offers another dose of picturesque fjords and an unusual play of light, a view that you simply cannot forget.
I found some detour.
The road from Kunes to Borselv runs along the river. The terrain here is much sandier, and despite the presence of water, I had the impression that the surroundings were quite dry.
Wow, what a view! So this is a view on a Nyby. I don't know how they pronounce it. Nyby and Lakselv Bay. Wow.
In Lakselv I do not spend much time. I just tank diesel and make small grocery shopping. Now I only have straight road up north.
170k to Nordkapp.
On my way to Rusanes, I also made a stop to visit trolls in town of Kolvik. After hours spent in car, this is short but very refreshing and relaxing hike. To keep story short, legend says these stone formations were once living trolls. After visiting the trolls, I headed straight to my overnight spot in Rusanes, located in a fairly large bay. Nordkapp is just around the corner. The question is, will I reach it tomorrow?